Welcome to Freed on Business. He grew up in South Florida, has been in business here since the early 90s, and has closed over $3 billion in deals. He's seen it all. He always has an opinion, and he's always ready to share it. Informed, entertaining, and connected, he has his finger on the pulse of South Florida's business community. He's Jim Freed, and this is Freed on Business.
All right, welcome to episode 853. We've got Dave Lombardi, the president of Lombardi Properties, one of the founders of Wynwood. I call him the godfather of Wynwood, actually. So welcome to the show. Dave is now the chairman of the Wynwood Business Improvement District. We'll talk about that. And he is one of a continuing series of people we're going to have here from going forward, where we're going to talk to founders and bedrock people in the real estate business here in South Florida. I want to remind everybody that we're streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram. Look for us at Freed on Business or at Jim Freed. And now, Miami Podcast Studios, bring on the Godfather.
Hello, Mr. Freed.
Hi, Dave.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love your office. It's so you. Everything from your involvement in the local Jewish community to your involvement in art, and you're surrounded by a creation that you made out of nothing.
Amen. Thank you.
So, Dave, your role as a founding father of Wynwood, if you could tell a little bit about what prompted you to identify Wynwood as an opportunity, and then tell a little bit about what your role as the director of the Wynwood bid is, and what your vision of the future is. I'll stop here. That's enough to talk for 20 minutes.
Sure. So in the early 2000s, I was owning apartment buildings on South Beach, late 90s, early 2000s. By 2001, all the condo converters had come into the market on South Beach, and I couldn't beat them in buying buildings any longer because they didn't care about income and expenses. So I came over here one afternoon with a friend of mine, Dennis Peters, and he told me to come for a ride to look at a warehouse he was looking to buy. And I had never been west of Miami Avenue, even though I grew up on Miami Beach. And this was October of 2000. And we walk into a warehouse. It was 5,000 square feet on 24th Street. It was full of oil and grease and boiler parts. And Dennis said to me, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, I don't know what to think. What do you think?" He says, "Well, it's too cheap and I'm going to buy it and I'll figure out what to do with it later." So I said, "Well, what do you mean it's too cheap?" He says to me, "What would it cost to build a 5,000 foot warehouse like this?" I knew the answer. It was about $65 a foot at that time, 325 grand. He goes, "Well, this guy's going to sell it to me for $130,000 and I'll figure out what to do with it later because that's too cheap." And I bought into his hypothesis. I came back on Monday by myself, started serpentining the streets, and I came to a few quick conclusions. I figured it might be advantageous to have a large concentration of cheap warehouse space in close proximity to the retailers of the Design District, Miami Beach, and downtown Miami, where the retail rents were rising at that time dramatically, and no longer could those retailers afford to store their excess inventories in the back of their stores. They would need cheap warehouse space or secondary showroom nearby. And I liked that I could get here in 8 minutes from the beach, 5 minutes to downtown, 2 minutes to the Design District, and I could get on and off the highway in under a minute. So I just started buying on that leap of faith, stumbled into artists, understanding that there were dozens of artists here, got involved with them, and the rest is kind of history.
So, Dave, that's a pretty big jump from really cheap industrial warehouses to what Wynwood is today.
Yes.
In a couple of minutes, it's not really easy to talk about that in just a couple of minutes, but that's what we've got. So give me a couple of minutes on that, and then why you decided to take over as the head of the Wynwood Business Improvement District. And I know you brought somebody from New York down to help you with that.
Sure. So Tony Goldman and I collaborating on the neighborhood starting around 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, we created the Wynwood Art District Association, which was a loose group of property owners and business owners, and we pitched in and supplemented different initiatives like Clean and Safe, hiring the women of Wynwood who were discharged from the local homeless shelter, the Lotus House. And we also were hiring private security, cleaning the streets, created the maps to market the neighborhood and showcase the businesses and galleries at that time. But Tony always told me, don't worry, David, one day you'll have a business improvement district in the neighborhood and we'll be able to finance all kinds of initiatives we could ever dream of. So he passed away in 2011. 6 other property owners that I was friends with, we got together and we decided to move forward on creating this bid, which involved a 400 folio area. We did a vote. We got about a 75% buy-in to create the bid, where we tax ourselves above the normal property tax rate that goes to the city and the county. And that pot of funds goes directly into initiatives we want to implement in the neighborhood. We created the bid in 2013, and the very first initiative we undertook with the planning director at the city of Miami was to do a zoning overlay, increasing the allowable units per acre from then 36 to 150. That was 11 years ago. Today you look around Wynwood and you see this is the result of that overlay. We have over 4,500 apartments built, finished. We have almost 2 million square feet of Class A office sprinkled throughout the district. We have dozens of really great restaurants, bars, and retailers, dry goods retailers throughout the neighborhood. And the Business Improvement District is there to help them market, clean and safe, do different initiatives throughout the district. And I was an original founding board member, and I left there about 8 years ago when my mom got sick. And last year, I started noticing all of the pots of money were filling up: the Public Benefit Trust Fund, the Parking Trust Fund, the Tree Fund, and they weren't meeting often enough, in my opinion. The board and the executive director had left. There was an interim director, and I started just nosing around, talking to everybody, and decided I wanted to come back in. And if I was going to come back in, I wanted to be the chairman. I had a lot of different initiatives in my mind, and luckily enough, people believed in me and voted me in, and I've been in since February, and we've hit the ground running on a lot of different things.
So Dave, you mentioned a couple of things that are really important to me. And I think that the number one thing that I look for in Miami in the summertime is tree canopy. Where do you stand with the tree canopy, and where do you stand with calming some of the streets? Because I must admit that there are a bunch of difficult drivers that sometimes use Wynwood as a traffic hack.
Sure. So that's probably the biggest initiative we in the board are working on with our new executive director, William Kelly. We recently approved a $900,000 budget for plans to be done by Architectonica Geo. Kimley Horn did the traffic study. We're starting with North Miami Avenue and Northwest 2nd Avenue for the full streetscape improvement implementation plans to be done. It's quite a task. We're talking about crosswalks, lighting, trees, sidewalk improvements, and the trick, as well as traffic calming devices. The trick in Wynwood is we are equipped with both county streets and city streets. So the north-south corridors are county, the city are the east-west streets. Both of them have their own independent tree requirements. So the trees that qualify and that the city wants to see, which provide more shade, in my opinion, are not the same trees that the county wants on Miami Avenue and 2nd Avenue because they are more concerned with a car that might lose control and hit a tree, and they don't want a big, thick canopy tree. They want trees that break away easier like thin palms. So we're navigating all of that. There's a gentleman on our board, Matt Thompson, who was a principal at Amley, a fantastic, knowledgeable guy in construction and development, and we've tasked him to lead the charge on the streetscape improvement plan. Another plan we just enacted or moved forward on was buying a property just off of North Miami Avenue at 29 Northwest 28th Street with public benefit trust fund dollars, and we're going to tear a building down there and make a pocket park. This will be a green space, 6,900 square feet, that will also have a dog park element to it. So green space with dog park element where we can do some small markets, we can do live music, we can do movies and the like. And we're working on purchasing another property a block or so away from that, from the county, to do a playground for all the children that will eventually be born and living within the district.
Now, Dave, I want to ask you one last question. I want to ask you one last question about the future of Wynwood, and then we're going to come back for the bottom line. You know, there used to be something called Wynwood Yard. Then there was another place where the food trucks gathered. The food trucks are a great place for people to gather, a great place for restaurant concepts to be tried, a great place for small businesses to be developed, and a great place for local people to get affordable food. Are you got a plan to put another food truck park together or place them in a location?
Yeah, so there is a small one right now on 29th Street, 3 properties west of North Miami Avenue that has about 6 food trucks. And there's some developers in the southwest corner of the neighborhood that we've been talking to called More Development, and they are also planning to create a similar thing down there until they come up with a big development plan for the future. So it's a great land use, a covered land play, if you will, for developers looking to do bigger projects in the future. But yes, we are trying to contain that kind of component and vibe to Wynwood, but make no bones about it. This is Wynwood 2.0. It's not ever going to be that grungy place again that had that magic. We're hoping to create a new magic in the new development and properties and buildings and tenancies that are coming in now.
Okay, Dave, hold that because you like stole my thunder.
Sure.
That's what I'm going to talk about in the bottom line. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to thank our friends at Warren Henry. Then we're going to come back here and we're going to find out what your vision of the future is, Dave Lombardi. Miami Podcast Studios, take it away. All right, I want to thank our friends at Warren Henry Automotive. They've been sponsors of the show for 15 years. Our good friends at Warren Henry Automotive, I'll give their tagline, always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry, and they live up to that all the time. Lots of my friends go there. My family goes there. My clients go there. Lots of you go there. They've got a great store up in Gainesville that sells Audis. They've got a very, very diversified store in Key West that carries all the name brands that they have. Got an award-winning Land Rover Range Rover store in South Dade and also one in West Broward. Of course, they've got their landmark headquarters store up in North Miami Aventura area at 151st and Biscayne, where they sell Land Rover, Range Rover, Jaguar, and I got my Lincoln up there. My mom got her Lincoln there. So they give me great service. You get the Warren Henry Advantage, which they give you a great price on your trade-in, a great price on your lease, or on your purchase. You always feel like a member of the family there. So I want to thank our friends at Warren Henry for being a part of the show and allowing us to deliver this great content to you every week. And remember, always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
All right, we've got a great show for you today. We're talking about Wynwood, the past, present, and future. I've worked with Dave Lombardi and Lombardi family for years. I helped them broker on one of their projects. So give me a call if I can help your family. I help all kinds of families with their real estate and private equity needs. You can reach out to me. There's my phone number. There's my email address. And remember, now we're going to have the last word and the big takeaway with Dave Lombardi. We're going to talk about the future of Wynwood for just a minute. We've got Dave Lombardi. He's the chairman of the Wynwood Business Development District and the president of Lombardi Properties. Dave, when we first got involved, we had local investors that were afraid to buy property in Wynwood. Then you and I sold a couple of deals, one to Gables, one to the Related Group. We've seen institutional investors move into Wynwood and take Wynwood from its grungy beginnings, where you literally out of your own pocket paid to have the buildings painted so that they would be good canvases for the artists. Now we've got a lot of institutional investors. What are you doing in the future as the chairman of the Business Improvement District to curate Wynwood for these new investors and the population that's coming to Wynwood?
Sure. So thanks for the opportunity, Jim. One of the initiatives I'm most excited about is our partnership with Freebies. We brought in these hot pink Volkswagen minivans that are moving people around, free rides anywhere within Wynwood. And phase 2, we're starting next month. We're willing to bring people who live in Edgewater and Midtown into Wynwood for free. So, those will be available. You just download the Freebie app. If you're in Wynwood and you're in one corner and you want to get to the far corner because we're a 55 square block district, we want to move people around to our businesses. And Freebie, I think, is a great start. As far as the future of Wynwood, I think the future is so bright, you got to wear shades. There's optimism, there's momentum. We are the intersection of real estate, tech, and art. And it's a great place to live, work, and play. That was the 7 founding members with myself in 2013. When we set about creating the zoning overlay, that was our dream. And now we're seeing the dream come to fruition. And there you go. I think we have the right board right now. We got a new executive director who we found in Greenwich Village. He came in from New York. He's experienced. He's professional. And we're super excited. And there's optimism on the ground. You can feel it and it's palpable. So yeah, come on in. The water's fine.
Well, I love coming in there. I love it. Everything from going to synagogue every morning with Rabbi Gopin, who I remember walking up and down in his black outfit in the middle of the summer, looking for Jews. Look what he built. Right. My wife and I are really looking forward to the Freebie because a lot of people have what I would call traffic and parking anxiety. Yes. Here I live in Wynwood, just close enough to see it, but maybe too far away to walk in the middle of the summer. So I'm very excited about that. And Wynwood has spawned so many great ideas, from Panther Coffee to the Salty Donut. I'm sure
Koyo Taco. Yeah, it's
Koyo Taco, everybody. So it's a great place. Dave, I want to thank you, and I want to give a special shout out to my favorite candy giver. I could always count on your mom, Doris. Didn't have to be Halloween. She always had that great bowl of candy on her desk. She was literally the first face of Wynwood, a wonderful energy field, and I know you're doing something special. We only have like 1 minute left. Give me a little short.
An 8-story building. Yeah, an 8-story building right behind me. Going up, we've topped off, called the Doris. It's going to be spec office suites, 2,000-foot units, fully built out. You just bring furniture. It either works for you or it doesn't. They have balconies, and the building's going to have a lot of shtick, like my mother's personality sprinkled throughout.
So that's amazing. Well, I can't think of a better way to honor her than to project her energy into the future. You've done a great job with your beautiful kids. They really represent you. They're visionaries in their own right. They're lovely. You really are the definition of a person that's really built yourself up, built a vision of the future, and created an amazing legacy for that future. I want to thank Dave Lombardi, President of Lombardi Properties, Chairman of the Wynwood Business Development District, for being on the show with us today.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
It's my pleasure.
Happy New Year to everyone. Happy holidays, and looking forward to 2026.
It's going to be a great year, Dave. Please stick with us and see me in the green room after the show. And thank you again for joining us. I want to remind everybody, we're going to continue our series with founding real estate people, foundational people from here in South Florida. Dave is one of our first guests. We've had a lot of other real estate folks on in the future. We're going to have even more on. I want to remind you, if you missed today's episode, you can check it out, the replay on any of my socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, or Instagram. You can look for it @Jim Fried or @Fried on Business, or you can head over to the @Jim Fried YouTube page. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you're listening to your audio, we'll be there. Check out this or any of our other past episodes. I want to thank our friends at Warren Henry Automotive. I want to thank our sponsors at the Bergstrom Center for Real Estate Studies. And I want to remind everybody, boy, is Dave Lombardi the definition of this. The person that wants to do something finds a way. The other finds the excuse. There were no excuses from Dave. Doris just wouldn't let it happen. I want to remind everybody, thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you. Wish you all a happy holidays. God bless you. God bless the United States of America and Miami Podcast Studios. The rest of the show is yours. Do your magic.